Hey, I'm Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is a Seattle real estate news breakdown. In this video, we are going to go over an article recently published in the Seattle Times, and the article is titled Seattle Among Top Markets as U.S. Home Prices Increase by Double-Digit Percentages for the First Time in Years. As we dive into this article, we're going to skim it. So I'm going to read sections that make a coherent story, and then we're going to pause and I'll add a little context and then add a little bit more of my own thoughts as we get to the end. So let's dive into the article. This article begins, here's one more sign that Seattle's housing market bounced back from the coronavirus pandemic before 2020 was over, at least if you're a seller. And before we keep going, sellers love it when prices are going up, right? Homeowners love it when prices are going up. People that own stocks love it when their stocks are going up. But if you're trying to buy, nobody really likes that. Back to the article. In December, home prices in the Seattle area continued to rise faster than the national average, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index. That is a mouthful. Released Tuesday, the index reports a 3-month rolling average of home prices and lags behind 2 months. So every time we talk about the Case-Shiller report, we're always talking about numbers that are from a few months back. Prices for homes in the Seattle area was up 13.6% in December compared to a year earlier, and the national average rose at a rate of 10.4% year over year. Let's pause, okay? All across the country, home prices are going up, and people have been feeling this pressure and the competition that they haven't been feeling. Maybe in some markets they've never felt or haven't felt in a really long time. I'm part of a coaching program, a national real estate coaching program, and a lot of the people in other markets don't know what it's like to be in a competitive housing market where prices are climbing fast, there's competition, there's multiple offers, and that's where most of the country finds itself right now. And Seattle knows what that's like. We know what that's like here, and we're experiencing it again, plus some from what some of these other markets are experiencing. So nothing foreign here, but it's worth noting that the rest of the country is also experiencing what we're experiencing right now. Back to the article, that national jump that we just talked about in December was the first double-digit increase across the country since 2014, according to the CoreLogic Deputy Chief Economist, Selma Hepp. Seattle maintained its number 2 spot, so we're still second place here. I don't like being second place, but I guess it's not bad in this particular situation. They stayed behind Phoenix, where prices shot up 14.4%. So 14.4 versus 13.6 in Seattle. Phoenix has topped this list for 19 months straight. So Seattle's beat Phoenix on their streak, but Phoenix is coming up on Seattle's streak of consecutive months on the top. Housing prices grew faster here than in San Diego, San Francisco, and more than a dozen other major metro areas where the Case-Shiller Index tracks prices. If you're thinking about moving to Phoenix, it's probably not a bad choice. Continuing on, after the coronavirus hit last spring and the economy slowed, growth in home prices slowed down in May and June. We experienced that here in Seattle as well. Consider how the latest growth compares to the same time last year. In the final month of 2019, Seattle prices were up 4.1% year over year after a streak of deceleration. The gain at that time was roughly in line with the national uptick of 3.8%. So nationally, 3.8, Seattle, 4.1. And this deceleration they're talking about, 2018 from the springtime all the way through most of 2019 was a lot slower. It started to pick up again in the late fall, heading into 2020. So things were starting to pick up right before the COVID-19 pandemic started in Seattle, and it seems like other markets as well. But there was quite a period of a slowdown, and a lot of that was due to mortgage interest rates jumping. So we saw interest rates in the 5%. Not crazy if you've been around for a while, but if you're a younger home buyer or a homeowner, 5% sounds like a really big interest rate, most likely. So affordability was impacted specifically in the higher price markets like Seattle. So things cooled down. People couldn't afford to continue bidding up prices, and there was a little bit more room for negotiation. And as we can see here now, we're in a completely different situation here in early 2021. Let's head back over to the article now. Over the long term, Seattle area home prices have risen 55% from December 2015, according to this index, which is absolutely crazy. Recently, growth has been concentrated outside of the city where homes are more affordable. In Seattle area, prices for homes under $490, $400 were up about 15%, while prices for homes costing more than about $734, $100 rose roughly 12 to 13%, according to Case Shiller. Other measures show a similar trend. Prices have risen faster in areas of Pierce County and Parkland, Tacoma, and Spanaway than in more expensive cities like Bellevue, Seattle, and Mercer Island. According to the data provided by Zillow this week, in January, prices were up 19.2% year over year in Parkland, 17.5% in Tacoma, compared to 10.9% in Bellevue and 8.7% in Seattle. Pause. I know some really great agents down on the south end, and they have been talking about this for the past couple years. Tacoma area has been shooting up super, super fast. Way faster than we're experiencing here in Seattle, partly because it's affordable and people have been moving that direction. Seattle, Bellevue though, the areas that I service, 10.9%, 8.7%, that's nothing to sneeze at. So home prices are still going up and it's still super hot here, but some of those outlying markets just to the south and just to the north are experiencing even more craziness than we are right here in the middle of the city. Slower growth, back to the article, in Seattle itself comes as many work from home employees are putting less emphasis on the commute and more on interior space when shopping for a home now, said Jeff Tucker, a senior economist at Zillow. Brokers and some economists blame the slim number of homes, including me, on the market, combined with low mortgage rates, me too, for rising prices and bidding wars. Either factor could take a turn this year and relieve some of the price pressure, Hepp said in a statement, but demand from millennials and existing homeowners who may have been on the sidelines throughout the pandemic is likely to persist. Pause. I think this is a great spot to just wrap it all up. The article's done, but a few parting thoughts here. Number one, I think that they're right about the different factors at play, right? You have people moving out of the city to get a nicer house, bigger house, newer house, maybe have an office or two offices, a bigger yard, all those kind of things. And we've been talking about that for months on the Seattle Market Update. So if you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe so you see those on a regular basis and stay up to date on the market. Secondly, the low inventory is a huge factor in prices going up because you have competition that's created. So lots of buyers, whether they're younger or people that already own homes, you have a lot of competition for a very few amount of houses. So we're seeing, like yesterday, I had a client offer $150,000 over the asking price with no contingencies for a house in Briar. It's in the suburbs. And they were beat out by over $100,000. Somebody else paid more than $250,000 over asking price. And I would never pay the price that that other person was willing to pay for this house. Never. But they did. Somebody did. 16 offers. There's usually a few people that are like, I'm getting this house. This is my house. And that's what it's taking right now for buyers to get a house. So that's definitely driving prices up. Now, on the other side, interest rates are still super low, which is causing more people to be able to afford to pay a price like that. And interest rates have been increasing over the past couple of weeks. Since the beginning of the year, interest rates have increased about 0.3% on the interest rates, but that's significant. And that if that continues to be the trend and we continue to see interest rates climb, you will see affordability impacted slightly. I think it'll take a while until we see that as a major factor, but we get into the mid to upper threes and start heading towards 4 to 5%, I think that would really, really stall out a housing market like Seattle, or at least cause things to level off a little bit and the competition to die down. Thanks so much for watching this Seattle real estate news breakdown. I hope that you got some value out of this and enjoyed hearing a little bit of the news and a little bit of my commentary on it. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on a regular basis about the Seattle housing market and what it takes to be successful as a buyer or a seller, please consider subscribing to my channel and tell other people about it as well.